Hello, everybody! If it's Wednesday, it's Warhammer. That must mean it's time for another episode of Warhammer Weekly. Joining me, as always, is my co-host Tom. What's up, buddy?
Hello, friends.
Tom, how you doing today, man? How's it going?
I'm doing okay. It's this whole thing's starting to wear on me, but it happens.
Well, that's what happens when you got four kids.
I
That'll
mean,
that'll happen.
I love my children, but you're
Sure,
not wrong.
sure. Being trapped in a house all day, every day with them, you're saying that can be somewhat exhausting.
And never going anywhere.
Sure, sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I wouldn't know. But at any rate, that's okay, because don't worry, Tom. Right now, we're going to talk about AOS. And that's fun.
Great.
You
Yeah,
get to
totally.
go to the mortal realms. Isn't that exciting?
I am so excited.
All right. So let's start off with some news. And we start with, I think, a very interesting rumor engine, huh?
Dun dun dun.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right, Tom. What is it? Take me through it. Hit me.
I think that GW is messing with us.
Okay.
They saw our show last week.
Yeah, sure.
On Fixing Death, and they're like, "Oh, vampires, huh? I got you, Lou."
Mm-hmm. So are you saying that? Well, so here's the question, Tom. Is this vampires? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, it is vampires.
All right.
It is.
Okay.
It is vampires. I'm going to
Got
be
it.
definitive on that.
You're being definitive.
Yep.
This is definitely vampires.
This is definitely vampires.
100% making that call. All right. You've pointed at the outfield and you said this is vampires.
This is vampires. It's not flesh eater courts.
Uh-huh.
And I'm even going to say it's a weird vampire.
Okay.
And the reason why is the weird fin on the forearm. Can you point that out for us, Vince?
Yeah, let me make it bigger for everybody. I'm going to cover your head for a moment, Tom.
That's
and actually
fine.
bring this image up.
Yeah.
So that if people can see this area down here, this sort of underhang on his arm is what Tom is referencing.
Right.
Now, I'm gonna talk about that in a second. Why I don't think it's actually a fin, but continue. Go ahead.
I don't know if it's a fin or not, but it's something weird, and it caught my eye.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's vampires.
Okay. So it's not a fin. This is the cross guard of the sword, right?
Yep.
Okay. So, I think that this is just like the other side of a bracer we can't see that's hooked under here is what I think, but it could be a fin.
But where's the strap for it?
On under this part, like it doesn't go all the way around. It's like a metal piece. You understand what I'm saying? That's like hooked around, like one of those bracelets that people wear that doesn't close all the way around your arm. That's what I'm saying it is.
Yeah, I don't think so.
But you could be right. Could be a fin or something like that. So you're saying this gives you more belief in your aforementioned vampire pirate theory, because if they have a fin, if that's truly a fin, right?
Yep.
Which again, I think it's a bracer, but okay, let's say it's a fin. Let's just go down this road.
Sure.
If it's a fin, then this in your mind is just like, yep, definitely vampire pirates confirmed. That's it, 100%. Lock it, load it.
Yeah, and actually, like somebody had pointed out, I think it was Martin Orlando, that we've actually seen this before.
A bunch of vampires.
We've seen the new vampires. Is basically like, and it was in the Night Haunt Battle Tome.
Mm-hmm. Well, we saw some vampires in the Night Haunt Battle Tome.
Right, yeah. And so let me see if I can share that up for us, just so people can see what I'm talking about. Because I mean, it's worth mentioning that like we do have some of this art for things that it could be appropriate for. Right here. Okay. Mm-hmm. And this is when Lady Olander is being summoned in Nagash, and
you're zoomed in too much. There you go. Yeah, you want to. Yeah. There you go. There's your two vampires, or three vampires, I guess.
There's three vampires. Very, very Manfred-esque.
Sure.
But you notice they all have bare arms.
Sure. That one also has a weird little metal bracer on, I would point out.
Yeah, you mean that right there. Maybe. Otherwise, it could be the edge of a cloak hanging down, dangling down.
Yeah, sure.
Like, because that cloak seems to be attached to a bracelet or whatever.
Sure.
And so maybe that's what we're dealing with.
Sure.
So, yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
So I'm saying vampire. I'm saying 100% vampire.
You could see that the hand of that one, it was like across his arm, like this.
Yep.
And he did
Yep.
have big, long claws. But I mean, that's not that weird. Lots of
Yep.
vampires have claws.
Yep. Definitely vampire is what I'm saying. Now, the question is...
And they're all rocking sleeveless. Like,
yes,
that's the new
yes.
fashion in Vampire
Yes.
Land.
Yes.
They're all like sleeves. I got no time for sleeves. I gotta show these immortal guns.
And Manfred set the tone. Like, that's what it is. Like, he set the... Because if you look at him, he's sleepless. And so he's ripped, you know? And so... Yeah, it could be trailer trash Transylvania. That's fine. Paul, I'll buy it.
So it's like moons out, guns out.
Moons out, guns out. That's exactly right.
Got it.
And so I think that's what we're gonna see.
Okay.
And like the sword just echoes this. They're very much like the death rattle swords.
Well, it looks old. You can see the pits just above the just above the where it cuts the image. You can see the pits in the sword. There's a scratch here. You can see that in the paint they used like their bad metal paints to make it look scratched. Stuff like that, and the texture's so large I can see the individual pigments even in a black and white image like this.
Yep.
So no, I don't disagree with that.
So I'm saying vampire. Like, it just, everything screams vampire here. Now the question is it a warband? Is it an army? I don't know.
Sure. Because it could always be like an underworld warband, or it could be something for Warcry, right? Like, they could, in the same way we got the Kurnothi and didn't, don't have an army to support that, right? Like, they've clearly shown that they're willing to do weird things for especially in Underworlds, right?
Sure.
Or, I mean, there are 6, 7, 8 now. There you go, 8 Chaos warbands for Warcry that don't have an analogous army, really. I mean, yes, I understand they're all enslaved to darkness, but they are an island unto themselves, even by the rules, right?
Yep. And I mean, what else? So Casey Giltenboth said that, like she's calling a vampire, like a civil war, vampire versus Nagash, undead civil war, and I'll just say that would be kind of interesting.
I would be all about that. I would be anybody going against Nagash is interesting.
Clearly, but like the season that we're in is the Soul Wars.
Sure.
And it would be a fun twist on that, right? On death, like truly fighting over, who is to be the soul keepers.
Soul keeper, sure. Well, look, we got to be bringing this Soul Wars to a close sometime soon.
Right.
Like, we had the Realm Gate Wars for a couple years. Now we're in the Soul Wars for a couple years. Let's get that moving along.
Yep.
I assume once whatever. I assume we'd want to move it along once Psychic Awakening is done over in 40K land, because that's currently soaking up a lot of their probably time and attention for that sort of thing. I understand these are different teams, but they do share they share artists and other ancillary folks to do this work. So.
I know everybody's going to hate me when I say this, but next year's the 3-year mark, like next summer.
Yeah, sure.
Which is traditionally for what this is worth. Fantasy and AOS seem to go on a 3-year cycle.
Ish. There's a lot of sure. Okay.
Sure.
There's not enough data points to really say that, but all right.
Yeah, but approximately. So I had speculated a while ago that we'll probably have an edition change next year, maybe the year after, who knows?
It feels like a 2022 thing if you were going to do it to me.
Maybe, but you're likely to cycle out of the Soul Wars with the edition change.
See, I feel like the right way to do this, honestly, would be, first of all, I don't think they'll ever really change editions again. In as much as only in as much as what they changed from AOS 1.0 to 2.0, which was really pretty minimal, right? Like everything. Active.
I'm not saying wide sweeping edition changes.
Yeah. I'm saying
tweaks, like the very fine refining that they've been doing.
Sure. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, to me, it just feels like the kind of thing that you just let it be. There's not a lot wrong right now that's pushing it to change. You don't need to if you're still selling your product and everybody likes your product and you haven't seen a dip in sales, Why?
Arguably, we were the same way in first edition, moving to second edition. I mean,
They
everything
had a
was
lot of
fine.
rules pressure there. There was a lot of first
Maybe.
edition. It absolutely did. First edition had all this baggage that they had brought forward from the beginning of AOS that wasn't clean, right? And they needed to rewrite the core rules, turn it from the 4 pages to the 12 pages or whatever, right? Flesh out some base assumptions, re-level stuff, clean things up. That was their primary motivation there, right?
Sure.
Was
sure.
that clean?
And re-releasing all of the books to bring
actually
everything
be
up.
books. Yes, to actually be because midway through first edition, they had suddenly decided that books were going to have rules in them, right? That wasn't an original concept.
Yep. We'll see.
So there's no such pressure here. Are there a few little proud nails we'd all wish would be hammered down? Yeah. Okay. Great. You know what I mean? There's some minor things, but for the most part, the game hums along. We have all our armies. The excitement's higher than it's ever been. I mean, I'd say up until the point when we all stopped having events were bigger than they ever were. Now they're zero.
I mean, I would argue that a lot of people were saying that the meta was not fun anymore and was stagnating.
I think that
I heard that from a lot of people. Not competitive players. Competitive players are this is amazing. I'm saying I'm hearing that from normal players who just go to events to have fun. They were having more non-games, and it was not fun. We're not looking forward to playing OBR. They're not looking forward to playing Age. They're not looking forward to playing Seraphon.
I don't know if Seraphon falls in there or not. We don't have the date on that. Well, but I agree with those outside that again, that's not indicative of an edition change. That's indicative of the fact that you've got OBR and Tzeentch that have a problem, which nobody disagrees with,
right?
Except for Meph, who's wrong.
Notice I did not say Fire Slayers in that lineup.
I mean, yeah, because they're very simple. You just get rid of that dumb horde discount on the Hearthguard Berserkers, and everything's fine. There you
go. Then yeah,
it's fine. Yeah. Perfectly fine army. Okay, so, yeah, cool. Look, to go back to the rumor engine here, since we rabbit holed pretty hard there.
Yep.
The low hanging fruit here is that this is just an FEC hero with a sword. Right?
Yeah, but there are no weapons in all of FEC.
I understand that. I get it. That doesn't mean that
the only weapons they have are leg bones.
I get that, man. I understand that.
Even when they release the Arch region, which would have been a great place to have a weapon, there's no weapon.
I get it. I completely understand. Okay? Yep. That doesn't mean you can't give a ghoul a sword. These crazy lunatics think they're all wielding weapons and they're all holy knights, right? That's their delusion.
Mm-hmm.
It stands to reason that one of them might accidentally think they're picking up a sword and legitimately pick up a sword. And yes, thank you very much. That's what I was just about to point out. The guy in the Grimwatch, right? The guy out of Underworlds has a weapon. Okay? Now, you're right, Ghoul Kings and Arch Regents and all those guys, they're just wielding basically bones. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
But there's no reason this couldn't be... The low-hanging fruit here is this is the FEC Warcry warband. And something in that warband is just a guy carrying a sword. Some kind of ghoul courtier, some courtier character.
Not buying it. I know you believe that.
A weapon.
I'm not buying it.
Again,
this is vampires.
As was pointed out, one has a weapon, Mr. Halperd guy.
I understand.
In the Grimwatch. And two, they could wield a weapon. They have opposable thumbs. And this hand does look very much like their hands. Because the ghouls are clearly inheriting the legacy of the sort of Strigoi vampires.
Right.
So.
This is a traditional vampire. I'm calling it.
All right. You've planted your flag. I respect it. Yep. I'm not sure that I agree with it, but there you go. So, cool. I think it's probably the FEC thing. But hey, there you are. All right, what else we got in the news?
You're boring.
Sorry.
Webstore is reopening for the US, Canada, Italy, Australia, and New Zealand.
Yay! There you go. So That didn't take long. It was like an extra week on the
Yep.
other one. And we're back in business. And that's actually tomorrow is when it's happening, the 7th. Yes.
Yeah, I know. Forge World is not being opened yet.
Correct. Was
So
there something you were really wanting from Forge World?
there is.
You looking to pick up a like a Titan or something? Ship
No.
over that $2,000 worth of resin?
No, a colossal squig, dude.
Oh, jeez. I mean, I'm sure you could find a colossal squig on eBay.
Yeah, but it's not going to be real. Like, they're all going to be recasts.
Well, you don't want to buy a recast, but I'm sure somebody's actually selling their legit colossal squig.
I don't believe that.
All right.
Like, I don't buy Forge World on eBay. I've literally been burned twice.
Yeah, fair enough.
So, like, I'm not going to risk it again.
No, that's
So,
fair.
like,
That's fair. I get that. I'm not going to fight that. Yeah, okay. Cool. Whatever. I'm glad. It was funny that the most ordered things, and completely unsurprisingly, by the way, the most ordered thing was you know the paint and stuff like that, and of course the shades were the washes. That is to say, were the top of the top, and yep, least surprising data point in history. So
weird. I can't imagine.
yeah. So okay, cool. I was very glad to hear that. This is the next step on the road to us getting those elves out, to us, and then to me getting my giants. I should also state that along with the elves, because they'll probably do Engine War about the same time, that will also mean I'll get access to the Engine War stuff, so I can continue adding that into Cities of Sigmar, which is cool. Yeah. Yep. So I am excited. Like, there's a lot of stuff coming around the corner I'm super excited about. So, yeah. Thumbs up for me. I'm personally still hopeful that we end up kind of in the time period we predicted originally, which is like this stuff is sort of available in the very late May, early June time period, whatever that means. Could be like it pre-orders the last week of May and it actually is available in June or something like that. That would be cool, right? I would be...
The sense in which I got with, and we'll talk about this here in a minute with White Dwarf, but is that we're looking at about a 2-month delay. Like, so I think all our release dates are being pushed back approximately 2 months.
Yeah, sure.
Like I would have expected, for example, in mid-April to have had Lumineth, and we're probably going to get them mid-June.
Right. Yeah.
So
let's I'm hopeful it could be like they pre-release the last.
Well, let's just talk about that.
Sure.
So White Dwarf will be spread out. Like 453 is going to be on sale this week.
Yep.
454 is going to be pushed to the last week of June.
Yeah, June 21st.
And then 455 goes into August, like mid-August. And so what this means is that they're basically going to stretch out the issues so that we have 10 issues over this year instead of a full 12.
Right. Yep.
So basically, we're going to lose 2 months of releases of White Dwarf, and I think the reason why they're doing that is because I think all the releases are going to get mapped to that similar kind of release schedule.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Because we do know that episode they're previewing, which we're going to talk about here in a second, which is the middle one, the one that comes out in June, is what they previewed here today.
Yeah,
has like yay Lumineth, go Lumineth in it.
Yeah,
right?
All the Lumineth things.
So
it has a warband for Lumineth, and we have an image of that.
I've got it ready, Tom.
Oh, okay. Do the Lumineth image, the spear image.
I'm going to put it over your head again because it needs to be bigger. So we got an image of the spear here. We're going to make this nice and big, and then I will zoom in, everybody. So give me just a moment because this is a tiny image, but there you go. Now it's dead center screen. Hopefully everybody can see it. Big old giant spear. Yes.
I mean, the longest spear.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Well, it's
like I am so glad that I use magnetized racks. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. Well, first of all, foam is always and was always a terrible way to move to transport your models. Sorry, everybody using foam. You're just asking to damage your models there. Okay?
Yep.
But and magnetic trays were always the correct answer. Now, so let's talk about this very long spear, pike, whatever we want to call it. These types of weapons have had 1,000 names.
Yep.
This Beck de Corbin.
Indeed.
No, it's really not. This ran
There's
sewer.
no axe. Yeah.
uh, the it's actually shorter than some historical analogs because it looks like it's about a little less than 2 and some change of him tall.
Yeah, so it's probably 12 feet, maybe?
Something like that, yeah. It would if you actually set it on, if you scaled him and then drew it out, it's probably like 12, 13 feet, which would put it at the short end. Historically, there were phalanx ranks, for example, from, as I was talking about earlier today in a chat with you, Philip II of Macedon famously conquered all of Greece by inventing these sort of these phalanx units that fought with spears that would fight 5 ranks deep, and they were at the longest about 20 feet long.
Yep.
So they were really, really long, and it famously created this sort of wall of iron that was impossible to get through, right? Because there would be, if you got past one of the spears, there were 4 more sitting there waiting for you, right, trying to stab people, and enemies with normal spears just couldn't get in there.
Couldn't get close enough, yeah.
And it was a very devastating fighting force. The thing about, so it's perfectly realistic, that is to say, a weapon of this length.
Yep.
The answer is, though, it looks silly as all get out when it's a single person with it.
Yes.
Like, it looks cool.
He's like, I'm gonna get you.
Yeah, exactly. It looks cool when it's like they fought in units of 128, I think was their standard unit size. That sounds right. Because it was 8 ranks across by 16 deep, if memory serves, for the Macedonian phalanx. Yep. And so so then it looked awesome, right? Because you just see this giant like
hedgehog,
yeah, of spear tips, right? But when it's just one guy, it's like you would just this guy over here with the sword who's like stepping in on him.
Yeah, he'd be like, I have you.
He would just push that to the side and go murder that dude. That is a terrible weapon for this kind of like city fighting where they're being portrayed. That dude just committed suicide by walking into the city with that weapon. That's insane.
Yeah,
you're not Sky from Hero, okay? Get out of here.
It makes me wonder if there's going to be a weapon swap, because I think we've seen him with shorter spears, haven't we?
Yeah, you can see one in the background. Never mind, that's the guy with the hammer. Yes, there is also a unit that has a shorter spear, I thought. So I don't know. Maybe
I thought so too. So
I think they're meant to fight in some kind of like organized phalanx, so they have some mix of spear lengths.
It's gonna make me laugh if like their weapon swap is like short and long spear. Just be like, wow, real devastating options there, buddy. Yeah, and so it'll be interesting to see what is this going to be a true 3-inch weapon, or 4 inches? I mean, who knows? There's all types of like secondary consequences for doing something like that.
Yeah, this guy will look much cooler in a unit of a bunch of dudes who have big spears, right? So,
yep.
But yeah, it's a very interesting, funny image. Yeah, so there you go. So big, long spears. As Paul pointed out in the comments, pointy elves.
Yep. Pointy elves.
That's very pointy.
Yeah.
It's super pointy. Look at the point on that. That point is like 8 miles away from him. That is a pointy elf.
It is a pointy elf. The other one is. Do you have the other image by chance?
No, I'm sorry. This is the only one I pulled. I didn't know there was a second one.
Yeah, this is the one that's really interesting. Dun dun.
Sorry, let me go back to the other picture here, and I'll scale this down to size so people can have the room ranging up.
Here you go. Wow. Okay, so this is like a sidebar.
Okay, yeah, this is very small. Fuzzy, wuzzy image. Okay. Yes, okay.
So there's the image of just okay. So
the fact that I can't tell who is in this image or who is fighting.
Yeah, I can. And so let me point this out to you.
Okay, I'm ready. I guess Chaos is in the back, right? Because I see a war shrine. I've identified a model.
Yes. So let me see if we're zoomed in. So the red you'll see in the foreground is Altharian. Okay.
Sure, why not?
But there's another blue figure behind him.
I would point out that long spear guy is right beside Altharian. I can see that. I know. He's poking up beside him there.
Yeah, that is a big enough spear that we can tell who he is. But what I would say is that the like Eltharian's head goes to like the bottom of the blue bubble,
Okay.
but there's somebody behind him with like a sword raised up. You can see a sword arm right here.
Okay.
Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. That may
I mean,
be
it's not
too
gonna
much.
matter. You're gonna
Like, but there's a sword arm,
Uh-huh.
sword arm, and it looks like he might be on Cav.
Okay. So you're
Like there
hoping there's
might be a
still a
horse
horse hero here.
Yeah, there may be a horse hero here.
Okay.
So,
Did you
yeah,
ever watch Barry, Tom? The show Barry with
nope,
Bill Hader?
nope.
This reminds me very much of a joke in season 1 where they spend like 7 episodes trying to crack the cops spend like 7
Sure.
episodes trying to crack a security camera that records
Zoom
something,
in. Yep.
and then
Zoom
they
in.
show the image and it's just fuzzy as all get out, and everybody's like, "Well, can you
And
zoom
ants.
in?" And they're like, "No, we can't do that. This is how it was recorded."
Yes. Hey, enhance.
Yeah, it's just like that's not real.
No,
and everybody
it is.
just looks at it and goes, "I have no idea what we're looking at right now."
So this is Eltharian right
Mhm.
here, and then here's Duke with sword with arm up in the air and sword right here.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Great. I say, why not, Tom?
Or maybe it is a cow leg, actually, because there's a cow right here. I don't know. I think there's a guy back here on a horse. That's what I see.
I think you're probably, this is feeling very Zapruder film right now, Tom.
Yeah, well.
Okay. Just saying. But okay. I'm not one to dash your hopes of some additional cavalry hero. Doesn't hurt. Why not?
I mean, it can't be the cow hero or the cow model because that model doesn't exist. That's not a real thing. That was a April Fool's.
It's
stuff.
a beautiful model. It's the only interesting model in the range besides the Light of Eltharion.
No, it's not.
You get all your silly boring elves. You basically got all that. So there you go. Just now you got to put up with having a couple interesting things in the army.
Nope.
Oh.
Hard pass. So yeah, we're still waiting on more Lumineth stuff. Obviously, like as somebody said, on the forum, like, is anybody else getting bored waiting? And yep, I'm about there. 6 months of teasing. Like that's where we're at.
Sure. Obviously that wasn't
January. It won't release till June.
Yeah, I mean obviously that wasn't the intention, but yes.
Just about done.
Sure.
I'm
sure they're not thrilled with the not money they're making either.
Right, indeed.
No one's sitting there going, "Ha ha ha, we got them." Like no one's in their homes, not even in their corporate office since they can't go there, I assume.
Sure.
And they're like, "Oh, thank goodness, we've tricked him now. We've strung him along. We will strike when the iron's hot." Yep. This month and a half delay probably on when we wanted to release the army.
Yep.
Sure. So no, I'm sure that just like us, they want nothing more than for this army to be out there and in our hands as soon as possible.
Yep.
Okay. Cool. What else? What do we got? We got more news.
We do have more news. NashCon pre-registration went live, folks.
Mm-hmm.
Are you signed up, Vince?
I am. Yeah.
Good. I am as well. So, I talked to David. They have spots for 96. May be able to expand to more.
Okay.
So,
I mean, NashCon always did have a fair amount of space. I wonder how that's going to work out, whether or not they'll want him to expand to more space in between tables.
We've moved to a bigger venue, they said.
Yeah, I know.
And there's a lot of expandable space.
Good.
So, yeah.
I don't like that. So that tournament's happening at the end of August.
End of August. I mean, we're still 3 months away from that.
Mm-hmm.
Almost 4 months.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I'm hopeful that it'll happen. I'm hopeful enough that I bought the ticket. I'll be ready to go. Yeah. So, whatever. It's, the world will be what the world will be at that point in time. But, right. I'm willing to go. And then
I'll roll dice with a mask on. That doesn't
sure, 100% I will. And I'm willing to quarantine myself for 14 days afterward. That's fine. I'll cut,
Well, how are you going to go to Nova then? Nova's 7 days later.
Well, I'm willing to be a disease vector then, I guess, is what's going to happen. Sorry about your luck.
I think I'm going to cosplay a KO dwarf. And I'm going to wear a big respirator. And
there you go.
Whole, metal beard, the whole deal. I'm going to make a suit and be safe.
Yeah, I mean, I think the answer is by that point in time in September, like we'll be in whatever new normal is, right? Where we are, where just having on masks and stuff like that.
Uh,
Yeah, sure, totally fine
Josh,
with that.
Josh, you asked, is there a con around it? Yes, kind of.
Kind of. It's small and has always been like you were naturally socially distanced at that con classically.
It's true.
It wasn't like it's because it's a much more, and I don't mean this in any insulting way. I just mean that like it was
It's
a
a very
small,
divided community.
yeah, it's a small, dedicated, uh, but like highly motivated group of mainly like historical
Yeah,
gamers.
it is primarily a historical gamer convention.
Right.
And then David's like, "We're gonna play Warhammer."
Yeah, sure. They were happy. I mean, that's cool. And
Yeah,
so
and you're like, "Come
it's
on!"
neat.
And so it's just a very different, like the entire vibe of like even all the like the showroom, like the show floor for selling. Like I remember the one year that we went, like the first year that it was that I went. Like I remember looking at the raffle, going, "Nah," just because it was all wargaming stuff that like was like 15 millimeter and a bunch of stuff that just I don't play.
Sure.
And so like I just okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to heading back down to NashCon. It's a short drive for me. So yeah, it'll be fun.
Yeah, I hope it happens. And as always, we'll see, and we'll see what it is. There you go. I don't know what else to say other than I was willing to throw it on the money to hopefully go. So there you go.
Yeah, totally.
And I think if anybody's willing to do it, you will have to judge your own tolerance and safety, and your life, and whether or not you're around people who would be put at risk or something by that time of you going out, or whatever the thing is. And I would encourage people to make the smart decision for them based on their own personal situation and conditions, and what they feel comfortable with.
Right. You shouldn't be guilted into going. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that being said, if it's something where you feel like you'd like to go and you see it as being within your risk tolerance, you could absolutely you will absolutely have a great time.
I will be at my like 6 months of quarantine and will be going insane.
Sure.
I will be having parented full time 4 kids for 6 months, basically, March to end of August. So, nope, I'm there. I'm so there.
You should like move to a farm, Tom. Then you could send the kids out, get them working chores. Not quarantined with them. Get them out there in the fields.
Yeah. Well, we're
working with chickens and cows and stuff.
Like I built like an 8x4 garden this week to make them work the garden.
Yeah, there you go. Good.
Like
Good.
I am not joking, and we are likely to build another 12x4 this weekend because I got to get them outside doing something.
Sure. Well, there you go.
So yeah, that happened. What else? It was announced a couple things that are like Warhammer tangential.
Yes.
One, there's a Humble bundle out right now that for like all the Warhammer games on sale. And so between like, I think like Total War was in there and Vermintide and a bunch of stuff. Most of the games were like $6 to $8 on Steam through the Humble bundle. So yeah, so if you like Warhammer in digital format and that kind of stuff, it's a big deal. A digital like the tabletop simulator, a lot of people have been playing Warhammer that way, Age of Sigmar. And I believe the first tabletop simulator Age of Sigmar tournament has been announced.
Well, yes, they did like they ran basically a version last weekend. There was sort of a test run of it, and yes, they're doing another one next weekend, 2 weekends. Yes. Yep.
There you go. And so there's going to be AOS events are happening digitally right now.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the thing. Blood Bowl's on there, both Blood Bowl 1 and Blood Bowl 2, and like the Blood Bowl expanded roster stuff. So on the Humble bundle. I'm sorry, I'm jumping around. And then the other announcement this week was that Cubicle 7 announced that their new game, the AOS RPG, is going to be launching for pre-order this week. And if you pre-order either the normal or the limited edition book, which looks hot, if you pre-order either of them, you get the PDF with your pre-order, for immediate download. So I'm really stoked about that as well.
When is that pre-order actually? When are you actually allowed to pre-order it?
They said this week.
Okay, got it. So they have not put it up yet. They haven't shipped.
They have not. It is not up yet. But as soon as it is up, you will see me tweeting about it because I am super stoked.
Okay. And we will do a show on this, by the way. We're talking to some people right now to try to do a show on this. It's going to be a couple weeks, just so everybody understands. One, because I don't know who's ordering the real copy and who's getting the PDF and all that kind of stuff. Yep. So, like, I don't want to do it before people have some of the stuff in their hands. One. Two, it's a lot. It's a completely new game, obviously, to take in, right? This isn't just an army book where you're sort of contemplating it and understanding it within an established framework like we already have with AOS.
Yep.
This is a lot bigger. This is something that is its own new game with its own new nuances. And yes, it's in the mortal realms we know and love, but we're going to have a lot more lore and background and information. And obviously we have to put on a completely different hat while thinking about this and evaluating it. So I don't want to do, as per always with
we're not going to rush into it.
Yeah. I hope everybody understands by this point that I have no interest in doing this, like, oh, let's open up the book and see what we've got. All right. Like, that's not,
we need to like process it.
Right.
And then let it percolate and then reflect on it.
Yeah, exactly. I hopefully would like to say something intelligent about it, or at least moderately not stupid. So that will take time.
And we will have limited experience with the actual play of it. Like we have lots of RPG experience. We'll have limited experience of actually playing it, but we're talking to some folks who are playtesters who have had it for 6 months or so, and have been actively playtesting it.
Tom, I'll run a game. Don't worry. We'll do it. We'll do a game just like some Saturday night. We can do it over online.
This summer.
Like in between now and when we do the show.
We're gonna do a marathon.
We'll figure that out. But I mean, saying just for now, yes, we're gonna do a marathon this summer. But and it's gonna be your game you're running. You already know that, Tom.
I mean, maybe
don't try to get out of it. But at any rate,
if the Texas boys can't come up,
shut your face. All right. At any rate, maybe we'll run a couple this summer. But yes, like we'll get a game and I'll find some people who we can do an online game with. So we can do a.
Can we use?
We can actually play it.
Please let me use minis. I have minis. Like we both do. We have Warhammer minis.
TBD. At any rate. Good Lord. All right, so, but the point is we'll definitely do a show on it. I mean, I'm very interested. The way I look at it is it's no risk. Because the worst thing that I get out of this, let's just imagine a world.
Hey, maybe that's the answer, Vince.
What's that?
Maybe we do a digital game, and we record it.
We'll see what we do.
Like live stream an RPG of AOS Soulbound.
Yeah, sure. We'll see, man. The way I see it is this is no risk. Because let's say I get the game and I just don't like it. Okay, let's just imagine that I actually get it and just legitimately don't like anything about the mechanics of the game.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Who cares? I got a whole sweet big book full of cool AOS lore and thoughts and
art
and stuff that I can integrate into my narratives and my storytelling for my armies and stuff, right? So, okay, that's cool. I bought an art book. I bought art books for things I don't even play. I bought art books for like movies. Right?
So I was thinking about do I buy this? I'm going to buy it, but do I buy the base version of the collector's edition? And the collector's edition isn't a magnetic cover, just beautiful. Clearly rivaling any of the GW collector's edition army books. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking at it going, I don't know. And then this little voice in the back of my head was like, hey, idiot, you bought the Warhammer Online collector's edition box.
Yeah.
And have two of those art books sitting on your shelf.
Yep.
Of course you're going to buy this.
Yeah, sure. Sure. I was just thinking about that same thing because the Warhammer Age of Reckoning art asset book that's amazing, and yeah, exactly. I've got a couple MMO art asset like art books that I mean, obviously for games I don't
Right, we
play
don't play
anymore.
anymore. Right.
Yeah. But I still like the book. I still am happy I have it. So yeah,
Right.
there
And
you go.
that's why when I thought about that, I'm like, of course I'm going to buy it. Yeah.
Yep. You're absolutely right, Hukon. That is the inevitable end of this road. Is Tom referencing the limited edition Ever Chosen book?
Right there.
There we go.
Because normal shelves can't actually carry it.
Absolutely. All right. So yeah, so we'll check it out and we'll do a show. So there you go. Cool. The title of the RPG?
It's Age of Sigmar Soulbound.
Yep.
And so it seems like there's a really interesting conceit regarding the gotch and like the actual like framing of the story of the story, the RPG story that's being told. So I'm actually really interested in it. So yeah, it'll be interesting.
Cool.
That's the news.
All right, great. Well, sir, shall we move to some pick o the week? What do you have for everybody, Tom?
I mean, I just picked a whole bunch of stuff that's all digital.
You did, but that wasn't your pick of the week.
Sure. So I'm going to pick something that is even more tangential than everything I just mentioned. It has Warhammer models in the video.
Uh-oh. Okay, that's fine. I know where you're going with this, but that's fine. Go ahead, Tom.
You do. So I'm going to drop, because we've just been talking to RPGs.
Sure.
There's a wonderful vanity video, it's like about 6 minutes long, that is Joe Manganiello talking about his D&D group. He's being interviewed by Variety about his D&D group, and like it cuts to like as he's just kind of like talking about who's been at it and all that, and then which involves like the wrestler Big Show and DB Weiss and like Vince Vaughn.
Sure.
And just jumping through a bunch of this, and it's just fantastic. And I know that they have a great RPG table in there. Like one of the players is using an OBR Necromancer for their character, the OBR Necromancer model. And in another scene, they're fighting like legitimately a Forge World War Mammoth.
Nice.
But the Iden F. Deepkin boat has been put on its back and sculpted around it, and so like the carriage is the IDK or pieces of the IDK boat. Like it's just the funniest thing in the funniest thing in the entire world. So
very nice. Very nice. I dig it. So my pick of the week is going to be our good buddy Heywo Twitch, who has been trotting out some content. Thanks Sigmar. One of the advantages, I suppose, to us all being trapped inside is we get some Heywo content. So that's a good silver lining. He is obviously doing his new expanded videos around the individual factions, explaining them. I really like the framing device he's been doing, of how he sets them up and how he explains what they're all about. And I love that he starts the video with propaganda. I think that's actually a really good twist. But specifically what I want to call everybody's attention to here is the Cities of Sigmar, basically the part 2 of that, which was where he gave sample lists for each of the cities.
Yep.
Which I thought was really helpful, because I do think cities can be kind of a how do I want to say this? Opaque book to list build in, especially for newer players, because it can be a bit overwhelming because there are so many units in it and so many potential power pairs and combinations. And I actually thought he gave some really good insight into just like, here is what a list would look like in each of the 7 cities. This will get you going.
Yep.
There you go. So I'll link it down below. I thought it was a very good video, and I really enjoyed it. And as always, the Heywo is strong with this one, so there you go.
Oh, and I did a video with Mephisto last week where I ranted for like 4 hours. So you can post a link to that too.
I will post a link to that as well. Yes, you were on Rantcast, and it was great because it was you running your mouth all the time and never giving poor Chuck a chance to talk.
No, Chuck just like fell asleep while I talked. It was the best.
No, it was a really good episode. You did run your mouth way too much, but that's okay. I wasn't there. And Mephisto wasn't up to the challenge of reining you in.
You were there in the comments, providing like sideline commentary as I just ranted. I mean, it's Rantcast, right? That's what you're supposed to do, Rantcast.
Yeah, I was painting that whole time. So, yeah, there was, just... It was good. It was good to listen to. It's good. As per usual, Rantcast is my A+ material to paint to on the weekends because you're guaranteed a large amount of content and fun conversation and topic changes. It never gets old, and that's what I like about it. It's great to sit down and when I know I'm going to burn the next 4, 6, 10, 12 hours painting. It's great for that. I'll link that as well. All right, hobby time. What you working on, man? What's on your desk?
The biggest bridge in the entire world. Can you see that?
I can see it. Yes,
It's
a big old bridge, and
it's
that's
like
you do know that is
there's a
patently
thunder.
not true. Like every
I know.
actual real bridge is bigger than that.
Yeah, I understand that. But like this is for like a tabletop game. Like this is a Thunderer on a 32 mil base.
Mm-hmm.
Like I could get him probably 3 wide at least on there.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're making a big bridge.
Yeah, I'm making a big bridge. I knew I needed to get it together at some point because you picked it up for me at a con like 3 years ago, and I knew that I was going to lose the instructions again after I found them, and it's just the biggest, and so it looked fun, and I had some time to glue some stuff together, so I did that. I stalled out on my shrine. It's just so huge. There's just so much there. And so I'm gonna go back to it after I get like a breather on my my Loon Shrine. But yep.
It is a very big terrain piece. I believe Tom McClure painted that in a single night.
The Loon Shrine?
Yeah.
I mean, you got to understand, like I'm freehanding every single mushroom.
I understand.
And there's at least 160 mushrooms on here.
I get it. Tom painted every mushroom.
Sure. I mean, every let me say it this way: every mushroom on mine's been painted at this point. Good. The question is like the degree of detail and all of that. So
sure.
Yeah.
No, I just like poking you. Yeah, good. Get it done, Tom. Stop slacking. You're making terrain. You got distracted by other terrain. You are.
I'm in my
You
wheelhouse.
are that meme right now of the guy walking with the girl and going like, ooh, and looking behind him. Yes.
Yeah,
you even turned around like him to look at the bridge. You're just living memed.
I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. And actually, like, it's so funny because I've like cycled all the way through. Mm-hmm. And now like I've put my goblins on hold and I'm cycling back to my dwarves. So like I'm gonna finish my Loon Shrine and then jump to my KO to finish up some stuff for probably NashCon. And then once that's get done, then I'll cycle back to probably my Gloomspite. So it's just the worst hobby ADD right now. I'm just so I'm so motivated by a bunch of just weird things that I'm just jumping around.
Yeah, Tom, you actually have a tournament to think about now again, probably.
Right, which is why I'm cycling back to the KO stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right, fair enough. Okay, cool. For myself, what I am working on, let's pick him up here. He's probably not going to show up well, but it's this guy. It's a space marine. Here's his little face over here, and here's his little backpack over here. You know, like Space Marines do. He's living that Space Marine lifestyle. Now, what's relevant about this guy, it's another Crimson Fist, because I like the Crimson Fist scheme. I painted one recently, but I wasn't super happy with it. It was okay. And so I wanted to paint this Crimson Fist because I wanted to take another shot at it. And specifically, I wanted to paint it using oil paints instead of acrylics. So, following what James Wapple had done, I decanted and thinned and turned a bunch of artist oil paints. So basically the things that normally come in these tubes.
Yep.
Okay. I turned a bunch of these into actual like miniature type paints sitting in a bottle. None of them are in reach right now. They're all out of reach. But so thinned them down. Put them in there, so now you can like just squeeze them out of a dropper bottle, paint with them. And I will say it was using them, please excuse my French, but it was a GD revelation. It was amazing. It was amazing. I've painted with oils lots in the past. Like it's not that
Yep.
I've never used oil paints before, but having them sort of pre-mixed, pre-thinned, and just being able to work quickly like that, and just is really fun in a way that's hard to explain. It is like, have you ever had trouble blending? Has that ever been a thing you've encountered where you thought, man, I wish this wasn't so hard to blend,
Sure.
right? You don't, that isn't a thought that's on your mind. That just doesn't occur. That's not a thing.
So blending whites are not a problem with oils?
No, there's no such thing. Like there's no such thing as a challenge. There's no such thing as blending with any color. Everything just instantly blends. That's just how it works. It just is. It's just part of it. Because the paint's wet for, a couple days really. Usually at least 24 hours. When you thin them down that much to that sort of miniature consistency, they usually are dry within 24 hours because they have enough white spirits in them. But yeah, and I've used it for a lot. The giant that I did recently, I did his skin all completely in oils. I've been playing around with a lot more of them, especially on bigger things.
Okay.
I've been trying them a lot more often on like bigger monsters where it's kind of easier to control and use larger brushes. This is the first time I've really played around with them on a 28 millimeter miniature, right? That is to say, I understand the giant's technically 28 and some of the other monsters. I've painted a couple Demon Prince size figures and stuff like that with them. But this is the first time I've done something 1 inch-ish tall, right? The standard human sized. And because I was always worried of whether or not it was going to be too hard to control. And my answer is no. Nope, it's not. It's wonderful. They are a lot more non-user friendly, I suppose, because it's different. But boy was it fun, and it's something I'm going to do again. The first thought as I was doing it was like, oh my god, do I ever want to touch my acrylic paint again? And the answer is yes, because I still had to use it for a lot of finishing details, and I'll need to use it for freehand and stuff like that. But the actual work of doing a lot of the miniature in that was just so pleasurable. It's so fast and efficient. I wanted to get like the Space Marine's face. I did the whole thing in like 10 minutes, and every color was where it should be. It was like he had red cheeks and bright temples, and blue faded into his beard and the side of his shaved head, and it was a 10-minute job. Jobs are good, fast and easy. And then I went in with acrylics and just refined things here and there with really sharp stuff. So there you go. And yeah, there'll be videos coming out on it. So I've got a video already loaded up in the hopper of when I did the giant's skin in oil. I saved that, and to me that is still the most pleasurable. Like painting skin tones in oils is it is a religious experience. Okay, like that is like that is you feel the light, you hear the bells, the distant sound of drums and horns, and lo, 7 angels poured out 7 goblets or some nonsense. Like it's on at that point. So at any rate. That already is a video. I'll do another one at some point. This was more of a test just for myself, so I didn't record anything for this guy. But I'll do another one at some point in the future. So I have that Stormcast hero you gave me. This is that guy, by the way, that you gave me. What's his name? Sergeant.
Oh yeah, that Sergeant one. Yeah.
Sergeant Joven.
Yeah. Yep.
I turned that guy into a Crimson Fist, and I gave him a big Power Fist because normally he was sitting with his hand like across his knee, but I gave him a big Power Fist instead. Because, Crimson Fists.
Sure.
There you go. If you're curious about wanting to use those oils before my video comes out or anything like that, I will make, like I said, there's already one in the clip coming up in a couple weeks for the skin tone, and then I'll do another one in the future after that. But if you want to watch anything before that, I would highly recommend you go check out James Wapple's channel, because he has a bunch of them. He has a bunch of videos already that he's done. And honestly, I just copied what he was doing as far as decanting and making the miniature bottles. It's his thing he came up with. So full credit to James Wapple, who you should be watching his stuff. There you go. Cool. So there you go. So I've had a fun week, man. It's been exciting working with that stuff. All right. Tom, you ready to talk about the actual topic today?
Sure. Let's make some stuff up.
Let's make some stuff up. So, Tom, tonight's topic, we're going to talk about new sub-factions for AOS. So, these are sub-factions.
These are not real.
These are not real. These are what we think the next sub-factions for AOS should be. And let me set some groundwork here. This is not new armies.
Yep.
Right? So, I'm about to sneeze. So, hold on a moment. Nope, I didn't sneeze. Kept it in. Okay. So, these are not new armies.
Yep.
It's not a whole new force or anything like that. This is more of kind of what they do in 40K, where the armies are all out, but they'll do some expansions for them. They'll introduce something in an expansion project like Psychic Awakening, you know, where we got...
Be in like a campaign book, or this could be in like a White Dwarf.
Yep. Yeah. Could have models, could not. Right? Yep. Sometimes these things do, sometimes these things don't. The upcoming Engine War is a great example of that, right? Where, you know, it's not like Adeptus Mechanicus are new, but here's this sort of new cohort of figures that are all about being these sort of Vanguard type forces that go out there on these planets. And yes, of course, you can integrate them into your existing forces or so on. So here's some new models, but they also have their own thing as part of this, as part of Engine War, right? So this is for existing armies, ways we could build them out. I called them sub-factions, but it doesn't have to necessarily be using the sub-faction thing, because not all the books actually use sub-factions, right? So famously, Gitz and Skaven and plenty of books like that don't actually use sub-factions in the traditional sense.
Right.
So it could be expansions along the lines, but...
Or it could add sub-factions to these other factions, like template lay on top of it. Yep.
Much like what the Wrath of the Everchosen did with Slaanesh, where you had Lurid Haze Invaders, right? So it added a sub-faction to Invaders.
Yep.
Or you could just be adding sub-factions, period, like what Wrath of the Everchosen did with Nurgle. So we've seen they have an appetite for this.
Nighthawk doesn't have sub-factions, but with the White Dwarf, we got a bunch of, like, semi-sub-faction?
Sure. The Dolores stuff or whatever?
Yeah, the
Dolores. However you say it.
Dolores Horde, or what do they call it? I actually have it literally right here.
Yes, a sub-faction in its most refined sense, somebody asked in the comments, a sub-faction is like Petrifex Elite, or a Sylvaneth Grove, or the Hammers of Sigmar in the Stormcast book, or whatever, right? The Great Phrase in the Beasts of Chaos book. Sometimes books have them, sometimes books have them and they're very light and optional, sometimes books have them and they're required. Yeah, whatever.
They don't have one.
There's a lot of... Basically, we're casting this net broadly and saying these should be the next 4 things they sort of expand within the existing forces as a sub-faction. Not that word has a hard definition in the rules, right?
Yeah, we're just making stuff up.
Correct. But I tried to pick some that I thought really would be, one, things they should do because it would add a lot of interest to the game. It would sell. It would be compelling. Yep. 2, it would help. The ones that I thought about were ones I thought, what armies could actually use these and would they be valuable in, right? Yeah. Because when they did the Dolores, or however you say it, guard thing in White Dwarf, they were very cognizant of the fact they were adding that to try to shore up some of what they perceived as the weaknesses in Nighthawk.
Right. Which were just battalions, by the way. They didn't actually add, like, sub-factions.
Right. But that rules build-out, my point was that rules build-out was there with the implicit purpose of trying to help what they saw as some of the weaker stuff.
Yep.
Right? And to make the army more versatile and interesting, especially to use a couple different units, right? Yep. So, sometimes these may be just rules. I didn't constrain Tom, so I don't know what he made up. He doesn't know what I made up. This could be new models. This could be just rules. I'm very interested in what you would like to see. So, you know, as we go through these, you can certainly drop your own, and we'll talk about them every so often as you drop them into the comments. Yep. But now it is time for us to wildly speculate. Okay, Tom, you go first.
It's not even speculation. It's just creative, like, outlet.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm fair with that.
So you want me to go first?
Yes, I do.
Oh, I see how it is.
Okay, Tom, I'll go first.
No.
All right.
I don't want you to steal my idea.
Okay. I've got my 3 ideas written down right here on this piece of
So,
paper.
my first one is going to be a campaign expansion allegiance, akin to what we saw with the city of Lethis for Forbidden Power.
Okay.
So if you'll remember, Lethis was a city in Shyish.
Yep.
With a lake, and it had like the storm vault or whatever, and so it was an allegiance. It was a city of Sigmar's city that wasn't a city of Sigmar.
Right.
And it was an allegiance based on keywords. I'm just refreshing everybody's memory as to how this was assembled. Mm-hmm. And it involved a lot of standard kind of city of Sigmar stuff, but it also involved some stuff that was very atypical, like Idoneth Deepkin, to reflect like the allegiance or the alliance that's going on there. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted to do a city from Olgu called the Umbral Deeps. The Umbral Deeps appeared very, very, very briefly, ironically, in the Everchosen Battle Tome, the first one. Okay. And it's the place in which Archeon was stopped during the Age of Chaos.
Okay.
So when he pushed in the Age of Chaos, it was the holding point for the forces of Olgu.
Okay.
And so I wanted to build out a little mini city with that.
So is this a new city of Sigmar, or what is this?
Well,
or is this a standalone thing?
It's a standalone thing. So again, think Lethis. Like this is not a hold. There's no Stormkeep here.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So this is not like this is again like Lethis in that like that wasn't a city of Sigmar, but it had elements of what we would consider city of Sigmar's in it. Sure. So the keywords that I would make out of it. So I would use a lot of what is in cities of Sigmar, particularly the Dark Elf factions. Mm-hmm. So Darkling Coven, Shadowblades, Orders of Pentus. I would grab some dwarves because like Umbral Deeps is like an underground structure. So think more of kind of like an Underdark style city. And so I would probably grab like Dispossessed and maybe pull Fire Slayers in. Mm-hmm. The city of Lethis did that as well. They had Fire Slayers. I'd have some humans in there that represent some of the forces that have traveled and established like trade routes. Mm-hmm. So I'd have to throw some Free Guild in there, some Collegiate Arcane. I mentioned the Dark Elves, which would include like the Shadowblades, which obviously would be super appropriate here. And then I'd probably do I would pick up the new tech that's been picked up from Cities of Sigmar, and say like 1 in 4 forces can be Daughters of Cain.
Okay.
I would not allow. Because there's no Stormkeep, I wouldn't, rather than like allowing Daughters of Cain be in here like wholesale, it can only be a portion of the army. Okay. I wouldn't have Stormcast here 1 in 4 because there's no Stormkeep. I would pick up some of the tech that was not reused from the cities of Lethis. And what tech I'm saying is they actually had some prohibited keywords. Okay. And so I would prohibit in these forces the keywords Vostarg. So any of the named Fire Slayer stuff, and I would prohibit Marathi.
Yep.
So those two cannot be in this force.
Okay.
And then obviously like everything would be shadow and spooky oriented for like a lot of the lore based stuff. I'd throw probably like Steeped in Shadows, maybe give the army like -1 to hit in the shooting phase. Mm-hmm. Because I think that could really shake up the meta. I think that will be a really interesting style ability. I'd want to lead into some of the more useless abilities, some of the like bravery debuffing stuff. I thought about something like a Dreadful Standards or something like that actually like grants units that have a standard bearer, which I know is really weird. But like that is a thing on War Scrolls that you could like that from a design standpoint that can be pulled on. Mm-hmm. And you could say something like you do something like the standards for the like how death has it. Enemies within 6 units of a unit with a standard bearer receive -1 to bravery or something like that.
Mhm.
So I would do some. I would play with that. I need a command ability. I wasn't sure quite what that was going to be yet, so I thought we could brainstorm something for the Umbral Deeps as to what a command ability might look like. What do you think?
I think the command ability should be that you can. Well, they're a shadowy, ambushy type of force, right?
Yep.
So the command ability should be you can almost like the Dread Harrow, almost like a sort of version of what the Dread Harrow does or whatever he is, the Rider guy in Nighthaunt.
The relocate one.
Yes, like, but he like basically they disappear and they are immediately set up near a board edge,
see,
9 inches away.
I like that. So I had Shadow Bridge.
And give them the ability, by the way, to pull them out of combat. Like, they can pull them out of combat as well.
So I had Shadow Bridge, which was in the Umbral spell lore. Doing something similar. But you could make that a command ability and just drop a command point and pick up and relocate. So would you do it for the general as well? So a general and a unit? To make
no,
it like...
I would just be like, it would be a rapid sort of, into the shadows kind of ability for one unit.
So it'd be like a rapid redeploy for a unit.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
I can see that. I thought a neat spell in the Umbral spell lore could be something like Mirror Image, because it's all about like illusion and trickery.
Sure.
And you could do something like on a 6, the unit like so the cast.
Hold on, I've got it. I've got Mirror Image.
Okay,
I've been casting Mirror Image since 1989, Tom. All right.
I know what I wanted, but go. I'll hear you.
All right. Here's Mirror Image. Ready? Okay. Yep. Mirror Image casts on a 7+.
Yep.
All right. Has to, and the unit you pick, relatively short range spell.
See, I was going to make it caster only, but continue.
No, it's cool. We can. It can be on other things too. Okay.
Okay. Yep.
So, it casts on a 7+. Okay.
Yep.
And that unit gets a 5+ feel no pain.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
If you roll a 10+, all right, then they get a 4+ feel no pain. Okay.
Hold on.
Because you make more mirror images.
Hold on.
Okay. Are you about to share that you wrote the exact same rule? Yep, there you go. There. Uh-huh. Yeah, we've written a lot of games together, Tom.
We apparently we have. I've designed that exact thing, Vince.
Oh, there you go. Okay, good. So yeah, there you are.
That is hilarious. Okay. So yeah, and then obviously some spells and like some shadowy stuff, and you get the idea. Yeah. I mean, it largely writes itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that. That's cool.
Yeah,
and I like the Umbral Deep. Do you see this as like you could do that almost? It wouldn't need any new models, so that could literally be like a White Dwarf article or something like that, right? That just builds
or
that
like or a campaign. Like it could literally be like a Forbidden Power style release.
Okay, well I'm gonna cool. I like that. I like that very much. I want to build on your Ulgu idea.
Okay,
because I too had an
I'm so
Ulgu-ish
glad
themed
I went
item
first. So go ahead. Yeah.
Sure. Okay, so I want to build on a classic idea, which was the Cult of Slaanesh, right?
Yep.
I feel like we're now the time is ripe for this,
right?
Because we have giants going into every faction, right?
Yep.
We have Barak Thring bringing lots of different armies together. You know what I mean, under a subfaction like heading where you can.
You want to bring Daughters of Cain into Slaanesh?
Other way around, actually.
Okay.
I don't. You can do it either way, but it doesn't really I could see this being built on either side. Okay. But I think it works better in my mind narratively as for the last point that I'm about to make, which is to me this would be the exact thing I would slide into the new Daughters of Cain book. Okay. We've said that we think there's a new Daughters of Cain book coming this year.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And so the question becomes, what do we... And the subfactions that are in Daughters have some potential room to be cleaned up and or expanded. All right?
Yep. Yep.
And to me, this is the perfect time. Like, we have seen all of these stars align of all the different rules elements we needed to make the Cult of Slaanesh happen show up here. So this would be a new Doc subfaction, just like Hagnar and Calibron and all of these, Wraith and all the rest, right? But it would be a new one. It would have some name. It wouldn't actually be called the Cult of Slaanesh, right? It would be the appropriate name here, right? And 1 in 4 units could be Slaanesh. Can be Slaanesh.
So does it change the Grand Alliance though to Chaos?
No. So I'll get to how this is going to work. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So 1 in 4 units can be Slaanesh demons. Okay.
Okay.
Only the demons, no mortals, because
All
I
right.
don't like you're not sneaking in Chaos Warriors. Those don't. These have to be like cultish things that are where they could seemingly pass themselves
You
off.
could what like Hedonites of Slaanesh? Like, could you key it to that keyword?
I'm trying to think of what in the Hedonites that would.
Hellstriders, your one hero, your like Demon Prince hero.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he is a demon. He has the demon keyword.
Right.
Yeah, I think really the one what you'd be if you just said if you locked it to Hedonites, you would expand it out to the Hellstriders, which
that's what I'm saying. I don't know.
I'm on the fence. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you have a problem with that or not, but
sure.
What I would argue is that like that makes it easier than having to like go super narrow on demons.
Sure. And so that's it's a standard 1 in 4 rule. Okay.
Yep.
They actually gain the appropriate keyword for that thing when they're taken in here. Okay.
Yep.
For this thing.
Okay.
And they'll benefit. Like they gain. Obviously, they have none of their own rules, right? So they're not doing any Slaanesh rules or anything like that, right?
They're not doing depravity or anything like that.
Correct. They are. So they're getting. Let's imagine Doc has roughly the same allegiance abilities as it does now. Okay, so having fanatical faith type of 6-up saves and your escalating blood ritual and stuff like that. That's all in play for these Slaanesh units, right? Yep. So they still keep their chaos and their demon keywords, right? Yep. But they're able to be in there because they all inherit this additional keyword that makes them a valid army, right? They all inherit Daughters of Cain, blah blah. Insert order here,
which is functionally, by the way, how Brock Thringy works. You're bringing in Duerden.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
The no points limit, of course, just standard 1 in 4, right? So you could sneak in stuff like keepers and things like that if you wanted to. Although obviously, a keeper's cool, they're awesome, but they have a lot less value outside of their book where they're not gaining depravity or whatever, right? There's no summoning or anything like that. Their ability, okay, the way they're like so their trait, their sort of the thing that they have is going to be a modification of, how do I want to say this? A combination of depravity and the blood ritual, okay? Their sort of blood ritual, where what happens is they as an army are tracking a depravity-like thing.
Yep.
Except that, so we can route it the same out. You need to figure out, is it just like heroes? Is it any kind of wound? Whatever, it doesn't matter. But all it is a little chart that once they hit it, they start pushing up the blood rights table faster than the turn.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So like they don't have to wait. They can murder to accelerate the blood rights thing. Yes. And if they go far enough, they hit a 6th tier, like a new tier. You understand what I'm saying? That they can hit a special one. So it's almost like the Taliban of Nurgle. Right.
What you're doing is you're basically pushing yourself through the rights to excess.
Correct. Yes, that is exactly right. They add a new 6. That's exactly, you got it, Tom. That was the thing I was going for. They have a new 6th level, which is just like the excess of blood, right? And that would be a nice big bonus. But they have to kill quite a bit to get there. And by the way, they're not getting the credit for like suffering wounds, because again, it's not like Slaanesh depravity where it can either be I lose or you lose. They have to go kill stuff.
So are you ready for me to flip this on its head?
I'm sure, man. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so here you go. This is a Slaanesh sub faction.
Okay. Oh, let me answer one question
Yeah.
real quick. Somebody said, "Does Witch Elves the army need Daemonettes though?" I don't know if it needs it, but I'm also assuming this is happening in a new Daughters of Cain book, so I don't know what the overall unit balance
Who knows what
coherence.
witch elves look like? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So yes, Mephit's still alive.
Hi,
So
Meph.
what I would say is that this is a Slaanesh faction that we give the Slaanesh faction the frenzy table.
Okay.
Okay. And depravity doesn't summon anymore.
Okay.
Depravity only pushes up the frenzy table.
Sure. Yeah, there's just the same thing inverted over into Slaanesh, right?
Right. You invert over into Slaanesh, but you don't restrict the numbers, right? Like you don't restrict the numbers of how many Doc you have versus how many Slaanesh you have.
Mm-hmm.
And so depravity, there's no summoning because all depravity does is builds the blood frenzy, the excess frenzy, and you don't have to worry about the Doc saving throw. Like you don't have to worry about like Slaanesh stuff getting a 6-up after save.
I like the idea of that's I get you. I love it better as a Doc because here's why.
I understand.
Sure. Narratively, it's more interesting if Slaanesh has infiltrated into the Dock City because of Doc's place in order now.
I'm talking about Slaanesh completely corrupting and turning.
I get it. You're saying it's gone all the way over.
Yeah, it's gone all the way over.
I get it. To me, the interesting point in the narrative is where they're there, but they're not the whole force yet.
Sure.
Right? That's why I like the idea. Because the demons have come in. They are very similar. They feel very similar. They look similar-ish, right? And you can picture them infiltrating into this force. The Daughters of Cain have this very close connection to Slaanesh. Most of them are these souls very twisted by spending time within Slaanesh. It's easy to imagine. They are a very excessive race, whatever, as their sort of obsession with endless murder and sacrifice and things like that. So to me, it's obviously it's a very natural story. I mean, that's why the Cult of Slaanesh existed back in the day,
right?
And everything about it. Just when I thought of this, everything about it works so perfectly. Pushing the table to 6 not only gives you the excessive thing, but it's also the number of Slaanesh.
Indeed,
right? And the cross modeling opportunities here are so gorgeous to have the various models interchanged and stuff like that. They work so well together. Aesthetically, I just think it's awesome, and I don't think it would ultimately it would seem very easy to put in a box where nothing got super powerful or crazy because you did it. But it's just such an awesome story, and we've broken the line now where we know we can cross factions. Right? We can cross Grand Alliances. Yeah.
Yep.
So it just seems like between that, a potential relaunch Doc book, and the sort of tech that showed up in Cities and in Kharadron Overlords with Barak Thring, this just felt like the gimme.
Yeah, right? Like we're already playing in this design space in the game right now, and if you don't think we are, you're out of your mind.
Right.
Like it started with Cities of Sigmar, and it's only grown as we've moved farther into this like current flight of books.
Yeah. And I just think it would I think it would be something people would really get into, and I think it could have some I think it could have some good traction and give a cool reason for how do I want to say this? I think it really would. It's sad if the Doc book gets re-released and kind of nothing new or exciting is in there. Do you understand what I mean? Like, yes, I'd love to see that.
What happened with Fireslayers?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, kind of, right? Where, like, Kharadron Overlords I actually think did a pretty good job of this. We can say whatever we want on that book, but they did an interesting job of, like, with these additional sub-factions they added or some of the things they explored, it made the book an interesting discovery again.
Well, I think, yes, I would agree with that, except that they didn't add, like, they only took away battalions, so we only had 4 and we went down to 3. And so I would say that there are aspects of it that actually got weaker. Like a design space, like a design breadth.
Again,
I hear what you're saying. Like the billing out lists makes it unique. I disagree. Like, I think that it sits in the similar space as KO, for example. I think that ogres would be a good example of something that like got blown out design wise.
Sure. My point is the worst case scenario that I can imagine is literally, and somebody just said, I think, yeah, Mogwai just said it in the comments, is like just a real. They released Doc 2.0 and it's just like, oh, we fixed Hagnar, and it's basically other than that the same book.
Well, and snakes are good. Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of. That we're gonna get basically an update to Doc, equivalent to what happened with Fire Slayers.
Yeah, snooze fest.
Well, I don't disagree with you. Like the books that have received that type of update have been the ones that I've been most critical of.
Sure. So if you're going to redo the book, take the opportunity to do something really new and cool. So there you go. And IT said Doc have no terrain or endless spells, and let's keep it that way, folks. We don't need them. Please don't get them. So there you go.
I think you're insane if you don't think we're going to get some type. We're not going to get some type of model release. We will get a new box of something.
I don't know.
Either endless spells, endless prayers, because you got to remember they're one of the factions that have both spell lores and spell like prayer lores.
Dana Howell said, "Doesn't the new Warcry warband hint that we might get more types of models added to the dock?" Yeah, maybe. Absolutely. I think that's a great call, Dana, because that new Warcry warband, one can easily imagine at minimum whatever that is showing up in there. So
yeah, I could really see them expanding out, like including some of the shadow what has been classified as shadow blades. Like so, for example, the dual box to the Darkfire Warlocks is or the Doomfire Warlocks, sorry, is the I'm blanking on them. The Riders, the Dark Riders.
The Dark Riders, yeah.
Yeah, like why are the Dark Riders not in there? Like they aesthetically fit right in this.
Well, it kind of feels like since half of that kit is already in the army,
right?
And Shadow Blades. Honestly, that new Warcry warband just looks like Shadow Blades, the warband. But I mean, there is a Daughter of Cain as the silhouette image, like a witch elf. I mean to say. So my feeling is they looked at those little hangers on and were like, let's just scoot that back in.
Which, by the way, those hangers on are actually in, they're in Cities of Sigmar.
Yeah, I understand. I know.
Yeah,
but I feel like they're just going to be like, nah, we'll just kind of put that back over here. Just get that.
Right. Well, the question is, do Shadow Warriors jump that?
Just get them on over.
Because Shadow Warriors are in that Shadow Blade like circle.
No, just probably the Canine type stuff.
Yeah.
But
I can see that, like the Assassin and the Dark Riders. Yeah.
The other half of the kit that already exists in the army.
Right.
That's just weird that it's still there.
Right.
Especially since Doomfire Warlocks became sort of a merged version of the kit, anyways. Anyway, okay. There's my first one. So yeah, that's my pitch for when Slaanesh 2.0 or sorry, when Daughters of Cain 2.0 launches, include that cult. That's how I would build it. There you go. Tom, what's your number 2? Number 2.
Okay, my number 2 is going to be a sub-faction for a army that doesn't have sub-factions.
All right.
Namely Gloomspite Gits.
Okay.
And it's going to be Fangs of the Wissenwood.
Uh-oh.
That's right, folks. We're back to Spider-Fang.
Okay.
I'm going to fix Spider-Fang. Here we go.
All right. We were all ready for this. Who didn't see this coming? If you had no Vegas odds maker would give you more than like at best 2-1 that Tom was going to mention Spider-Fang in the show. This was not long odds. It was about as likely as me mentioning some kind of Slaanesh-based thing. So yes.
I think when we did something like this 4 years ago, I did the same thing.
Sure. All right. Well. Let's do it. You've tried to fix spiders before. Can you do it? Okay. What do you got, Tom? Hit me.
Okay. So here we go. This bolts right on to the top of all the rest of the Gloomspite rules.
Okay.
Because it's not like there's anything meaningful there anyways. And so it's going to be the standard format for temples or tribes or storm hosts or whatever of the 4 elements, right? which forces your command trait, which forces an item, grants an ability, grants a command ability.
Okay.
You know, like the standard bolt-on template,
When
right?
you said 4 elements at first, I was like,
No.
like wind, air, fire, and water? What
No.
about heart, Tom?
No, the
Okay,
standard...
I understand what you mean. The standard subfaction breakout, yes.
The standard 4 framing that they do,
Yes.
like when you choose these.
The 4 attributes, yes.
The attributes. And so I'm just going to go right for it for
Okay.
the universal ability, venom coated weapons.
All right.
Apply.
This is the just generic ability.
Everybody gets it.
All what'd you call them? I'm sorry. What was your name again?
The Fangs of the Wissenwood.
Okay. All Fangs of the Wissenwood gain the following. Go ahead.
Yep. Hit rolls of 6 do 1 mortal wound.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the sequence ends there.
Okay. Got it.
Okay.
Yep.
And it does not apply to Fang, Gigantic Fang, Monster's Fang, or Envenomed Spear attacks.
Okay. Got it.
So what it does is it basically says weapons that aren't the things that are already doing this effect gain this ability. Because it's on 6 to hit, it pulls out the synergy from the of double dipping mortal wounds with the Loon boss.
Okay.
Does that make sense? And so what it does is it navigates this really weird set of overlap by removing everything that would like double dip from this effect, right?
Mm-hmm.
And at the both that's already in the army from the Loon boss, and that's on other attacks.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
And this would have a really interesting effect because it would make like Spider Riders, like their stock would immediately go up because like they have 2 bow shots.
Sure. Which could trigger 6s or mortals on 6s there. Yeah.
Right. So suddenly like those attacks, which are worthless right now, hitting on 5s, wounding on 5s, I think, to actually maybe do something. If you're throwing 10 dice at something, you're going to get 1 or 2 6s.
Sure.
So it suddenly becomes really interesting, right?
All
right. The command ability, I would do as Web Spinner. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You use it at the beginning of the combat phase.
Okay.
You choose a unit wholly within 12 inches of this unit, of like the hero that's using this command ability.
Mm-hmm.
And within 3 inches of a Spider Fang keyworded unit.
Okay. Got it. Quick clarification since someone's asking in the comments.
Yes.
For your universal ability for these things,
yes.
Can you only take spider things, or does everybody in this army get this thing? Like
everybody,
if I take trolls and
yes, everybody gets it.
Okay.
Because the key here is that what it's doing is it's poisoning their attacks.
Okay. No matter what they're wielding, they all get poison stuff.
Right. But if it triggers the mortals, the damage things stop.
Yeah, it would be pointless on somebody like trolls where they have a multi-attack or do multi-damage. Yes.
Multi-damage, right.
The key would be like, the question becomes, why am I not taking 60 grots with shooters or 60 shooters or stabbers and just having them, roll out tons of mortals?
And that's what, that's the idea. Is that,
I mean, the answer to that seems to be that they're fine with that re-see skinks. So,
right.
Okay.
Right. Like, skinks are already doing this, folks.
Sure.
Right. So, with a lot better bravery. So the command ability, Web Spinner, it's wholly within 12 of a hero and within 3 of a Spider Fang unit. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And basically what it does is that unit strikes last in that combat.
Okay.
Because it's a hero phase ability, because it's a combat phase ability at the start of the combat phase, it's not at the top of the power level of strikes last.
Sure. So you're saying, even though we're pulling out of the nosedive that is the activation wars, your solution is, let's get right back in there, jump right back in the deep end of the pool with a complicated start of combat trigger that people are going to honestly not understand because they're going to have start of combat, end of combat triggers. Why don't you just say at the end of the charge phase?
I thought about that. I thought about that. I did. I legitimately thought about end of charge phase, but it just felt weird.
Okay.
Like, because I thought about doing like end of shooting phase because that's a little bit more grokkable.
Sure.
But the problem with that is that like then you can't. Then it's like the worst of all possible worlds because you have to have been in combat for an entire turn as spiders that have no defenses in order to trigger it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's the end of the charge phase is the right answer because just keep it simple. It should be end of charge phase because if I might act as developer here for a moment, because
Sure.
if you make it a start of combat trigger, then anybody who can fight at the start of combat can bust out of it.
Anybody that can start the fight that can trigger at the start of combat effects in combat can already bust out of it.
Correct. Yep.
So like again, it still doesn't affect that instance at all.
Yes, but you won't have, which is true. Like I agree that we're not changing the rules interaction there,
Right.
but you're going to clean up the timing so that people aren't like, wait, which one of my things goes first? Does my thing go first or your thing go first?
Sure. That's fair.
You could also just do like we could also just steal the Khorne Demon Prince ability and have them like, you could use it in the shooting phase on a unit within 12 when you're 3 inches out, and you could then have that unit's run and charge. Like you use it in the enemy, or not run, sorry, because you already passed run. Use it in the enemy shooting phase, and you would have their charge.
Yeah, you could do something like that too. Like
Sure.
all of those are acceptable. Like there's a lot of design space to play with here. And I was trying to stay away from penalties to hit.
Yep.
Right? Like that's
I get it.
That's the low hanging fruit. And
Which
so
I'm very ready for that. Let's not have a ton of penalties to
Sure.
hit. The goblins already have too much of that crap going on.
Yeah, no, and actually I didn't write any of that in any of this.
Cool.
So the command trait is stalking hunter, and it just lets your general opt to set up off table.
Okay. Okay.
You know, and he can sneak onto a board edge.
Yep. All right. Fair.
So like it's not super strong. Other than it lets him hide. You know, lets him not be targeted. Sure. But like if your wizard is the Arachnarok,
yeah,
then like it's actually a penalty because you're losing 2 spells to set up.
Sure. Okay.
So it's the weaker end of the force command trait, right? Because if you do that, you actually don't get the super poison ability, the double mortal wounds on your boss. Okay. And so that's one of the costs here. And then finally, the item was it's going to be it has to be placed on the first Arachnarok in your army. That's a hero. Okay. And it is egg sack.
Oh my god, I was seriously just about to say big old egg sack of spiders. Yes, that's what I was going to say. The artifact has to be. Yeah, okay. Yep. Continue. I have a concept of what I would want this to do, but go ahead.
Okay. Anytime you take a wound or mortal wound, roll a dice.
All right.
On a 4+, do 1 mortal wound to all units within 3 inches.
Okay.
As spiders go streaming out.
Got it.
Every time it's taking damage. And then if that damage removes this model, instead do a d6 mortals to all units within 3 inches.
Gotcha.
Until the end of the Spider Fang. Units with the Spider Fang keyword are immune to this effect.
Sure. Fun. May I suggest a potential alternative?
Sure. And by the way, that creates a really interesting dynamic because it lends itself to like suicide spiders.
Yeah, I get it.
So,
so my concept was also big old egg sack of spiders.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And so, but my rules for it would have been this: once a game at the end of your movement phase. Okay.
Yep.
If this model ends its move within 1 inch of a terrain piece, you may remove the big old egg sack of spiders and say that terrain piece is now infested. Yes, exactly. All models within 3 inches of the terrain piece.
Yep.
On or within 3 inches of the terrain piece, take some number of mortal wounds.
No. You roll a dice for every model. On a 5+, it does a mortal wound.
Sure, I'm fine. Whatever, that's fine. Yeah. Something like that. Some
there's
mortal
wound. Spell that does there's a horde of spiderlings. And does a spell that does the same thing.
Sure. Yeah. And
Go
the
on.
terrain piece counts as deadly and entangling for the rest of the game.
Yep.
Which I love entangling. Being able to place it entangling, I think, is really powerful. Obviously.
Yep.
Because you can hurt other people's run and charge rolls.
Yep.
Spider Fang units are immune to this.
Of course.
To this effect.
That's
what I would do.
So that's where I would start.
I mean, that's done right there. Just print that right there. Just record that last segment, back it up, write it down, done and dusted. You got a new subfaction.
Here's the deal.
The only trick would be like, I do think you might want to push the spider incentive a little bit, because I like that you did a little bit of the push through the command ability. My fear is I don't want the right way to do this to just be like
foot goblins.
Just all foot goblins. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, what I would want to see with this is a bunch of like 20s of foot goblins, and then all spiders.
Yeah, but we need to push harder on that incentive if that's really what we're asking for, right? Because all we've done so far is said this is really encouraging you to take.
Now, you could do, like, what I wanted to do is I wanted to create an incentive to have foot goblins. Because right now, like, in almost all Spider Fang things, there's no incentive there. Mm-hmm. And, in fact, like, you could just say all Spider Fang units gain this mortals on 6 to hit. You could do that, and that's fine. And it would add damage to like all the riders of all the goblin units, of all the spider units. But that doesn't solve the problem that like spiders, as they are currently designed, are just terrible.
Yeah, I think the way you would want to do it would be something like this. Let me see if I can change your original. We would still need to workshop this a little bit. Somebody said, Chris Thiel said, all 4 of these sound useful. Don't most of these subfactions have at least one bad feature? Yes, sometimes they have one weakish or feature you can write off or thing. I think that's your command trait. I think the command trait you got there is honestly your throwaway. Because when you compare that to the existing sort of goblin command traits, that one's kind of throwaway. Of just like, you can choose to ambush. Okay, great. There's nothing you're taking off board and ambushing with in that army that's, that's going to be a real power piece.
And it has to be your general, which
Correct.
is like,
it has to be your general,
which may not be good. Like that's part of the that may not be the right answer.
So let me see if I would need to think about exactly how to word this. So please excuse my messy wording. Okay.
Yep.
So all the 6 mortals, blah blah blah. All Spider Fang units in your army, and 1 non-Spider Fang unit for may also be given this ability for every unit of Spider Fang you have. Now, again, we need to workshop exactly how it works, but I'm trying to keep it 1-to-1. See what I'm saying? So, like, if you have 1 unit of Spider Riders, they can poison 1 unit of Goblins' weapons. That's kind of what we're trying to establish there.
Yeah.
Right?
No, I hear that. I do. And that's fine. So here's where I'm going to push the envelope a little bit. As designed right now, like, so that would be the core of it. And then you could, there are, like, increasing levels of complexity that you could go out from here.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Okay. So that could be like printed in a white dwarf, whatever. And then one of the easy low-hanging fruits is that you have a alternate build option of the Arachnarok with the existing bits that gives you a war chief. That gives a combat hero riding on the Arachnarok.
Sure.
Okay?
Yeah.
So that, like, where you don't actually have to change the contents of the kit.
No, it's all the stuff that's there. It's the same as the Stegadon Chief or the Steam Tank Commander or whatever.
Exactly. Yep. So give them the Arachnarok a combat version.
Mm-hmm. Just 4 war scrolls out of this one kit. Can't get enough.
Yep.
The giant spider that keeps on giving.
Yep. So that's one of them. And then the next one would be a redone Spider Rider kit. Okay. That creates, like, I'm going all out here. So here we go.
Sure.
Okay. It's 10 spiders. Mm-hmm. All of the butts are swappable.
Swappable butts. Got it.
Okay.
Key element of the design. Take note, design team. So, Darren, if you're watching, hey, Maxime, everybody who's in the studio, Seb, all you guys, just like make sure swappable butts. I highlight that in your notes, please. Thank you. Okay, continue.
Swappable butts for the spiders, because as the spiders are currently designed, right? Mm-hmm. The butts have like different markings. Like you have like the spiny ones and like the little like lava backs, and then some have like little embedded skulls. And so what you do is you can do different breeds of spiders with different war scrolls based on that thing. So you can have like hopping spiders and fast spiders and webs. Like you could actually spin out like a bunch of different war scrolls from that. Okay. So that's the first thing, is breeds based on that. You could also have mounted and unmounted war scrolls. Okay. If they're unmounted, you provide standing legs for those 10 gobos. You have like riding legs, standing legs, and so that you could make units of foot forest goblins out of it.
Okay.
So the box could either be like 10 unridden goblins, or 10 unridden spiders and 10 foot goblins. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Or you could do like 10 riding spiders, or like 5 and 5, or something like that.
Okay. Okay.
Paul, I'm not meaning to steal. I didn't see your show. If you guys thought about something similar.
I mean, I'm sure at this point Paul has sketched out every potentiality.
That's probably true.
He has created the singularity when it comes to spiders. It's a spider singularity.
Indeed. And so yeah, there you go.
Okay.
So then you could spin out, and if you're willing to do that with different spider war scrolls, I don't think that you need to have foot goblins.
Okay.
But if you're only willing to have the current kind of like single war scroll stuff, then you have to go foot goblins, which you need to make them like forest goblin-y in some sense. That's what I would say.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. All right. I like it. I mean, sounds fun to me, and I like your name. All right. You ready for my number 2?
Yep.
Okay, here's my second one. Here we go. I'm going to call this one Roiling Thunder. Okay?
Okay.
So this is a new Great Fray for Beasts of Chaos. All right? I don't know how this gets introduced because I do want to do some new kits. We'll talk to that in a moment. Okay? And this is going to be the Dragon Ogre sort of focused fray, more about like the thunder and the storm and the lightning. Because in my mind, the coolest thing, okay, in Beasts of Chaos is the Shaggoth and the Dragon Ogres.
Sure.
All right?
Yep.
They're just awesome.
They are.
They are admittedly awesome. Now, the problem is that they have an extreme weakness. All right? They suffer from ultra elite model count, right? This is the classic problem on, times 10, right? Because they just have so few models. Right? And yet they're the coolest idea. So the question is, how do we make them a functional faction? All right?
Yep.
Okay. So my answer for how we make them a functional faction is that we need to make them tougher and more deadly. Like, we're not going to give them an ogre-like ability.
Yep.
Okay. And instead, we're going to give them a... oh, we lost Tom for a minute. That's fine. Tom had to step away. So instead, we're going to make these guys more... what do I want to say? Potent in general. All right, so here's how we do that. You ready? Roiling Thunder. It's a new, as I said, it's a new Great Fray. The universal ability is every Storm Shield is the name of their generic ability. Okay? And it's a 6-up feel no pain. All right? If this model, so everybody in this faction has a 6-up feel no pain. If the model has the Dragon Ogre, whatever, Dragon Ogre or Shaggoth keyword, okay, then it becomes a 5-up. All right.
Okay.
If this model has been healed this turn by their lightning strike ability they have that can heal, right? Either from Allegiance perspective or the Shaggoth spell, I guess, theoretically, or whatever. Then it becomes a 4-up until the end of that turn.
Okay.
All right. So it's just like it's temporarily charging the thing. In my mind, it was like Iron Man in the first movie.
Sure.
Thor hits him with a bunch of the lightning, and he's like, "Power is at 400%, sir." Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's just the sort of generic ability that handles the toughness thing, right? And it has a cool interaction where we're not giving it to other things, where you're not just getting a bunch of Ungor running around with a bunch of Feel No Pains. Like, yes, regular Ungor in the army would have 6-ups because they also get the Storm Shields, but like, who cares? You know, that's not much of anything. Your big guys have 5-ups, which is where it starts to matter, and you can push it to 4-up, right? Which actually should go the distance to making these big. Keep in mind, these guys don't have that many wounds for what they actually are, and the points you pay for them. And I'm assuming we keep the models and the scrolls more or less how they are.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So the command ability, okay, is called Storm Empowerment.
Okay.
All right. And it only works on Dragon Ogres and Shaggoths. All right.
Yep.
And what it does is every one of their attacks, okay, you put the command ability on them, and at base, okay, every time, I feel like there's a sort of standard design aesthetic here, since I'm about to say the same thing you said, but except it's not going to stop. If they roll a 6 to hit, they deal a mortal wound in addition to their damage. Okay,
sure.
But
is this the generic ability?
This is the command ability.
Okay, command ability. Yep.
Right? Can only go on Dragon Ogres. However, same thing. If they've been, powered up by the lightning,
right?
Okay, instead already,
yep.
Then they deal 2 mortals on the 6 instead of 1.
Yeah,
okay?
Makes sense.
So we're all driving to this whenever the lightning strikes, they get stronger type of thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
The command trait for the army is that the general, okay, it either, I don't know if it's all the time or it's probably just once per battle. That's the fair way to do it. That's to make it the sucky one. The general once per battle can automatically trigger the lightning strike heal.
Okay.
Instead of requiring the other things that have to happen.
Yep.
Right? He can just make it happen once a game so that he can turn all the supercharged stuff on for a single unit, but it's only once a game. Right?
Yep.
I don't know what the artifact is. I hadn't thought of the artifact, but I mean, I'm sure we can do some cool thunder or storm. I would rather it be thunder oriented because we've got a lot of lightning stuff here.
Sure.
So, some thunder crack thing seems awesome. I'd have to think about exactly what I wanted that to be, but yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it sounds good. It's like, I love those Dragon Ogres, man.
So if I had my ultimate dream to do your style of now let's push it farther.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
We have bigger drakes. Dragon Ogres were the original inhabitants of Azir, right? They come from this same land. And Dracoths and Dracothian, the Storm Dragon and all of that.
Yep.
They're all sort of his children, right? From Azir.
Yep.
So I would very much like to have. Do you need to deal? Your son needs some attention. That's fine. You can deal with that. I would very much like a new, let's call it Super Shaggoth. Okay. So I want basically here's what I want. Let's take the Star Drake and instead make him half, give him the normal half, like the Shaggoth or Dragon Ogre half. But it's a Star Drake sized. So, and you've got the Dragon Ogre, and then the bigger version, the Shaggoth, and then the biggest version, which is the giant star Dragon Ogre. Sure, why not? You get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Like, I insert clever name here, but it's a Star Drake size thing, but crossbred and to have that big upper half.
Yep.
Okay. That seems like such a slam dunk to me. And that's a new amazing general. He can be your big expensive hero. Yeah. There used to be this there was I'm kicking myself that I can't remember the guy's name, but there used to be a named Shaggoth who was super awesome. It would basically be expanding on that kind of thing, like an ancient Shaggoth type idea. Somebody in the comments will tell me what that guy's name was, but I literally can't remember it. But he was super cool back in the day. Yeah, so that's my other idea. I think that would make the army as tough as it would need to be. It would give it some real punch to where it could actually do damage, right? Yep. And in some cases, some real spiky damage. They still have the elite model syndrome, so nothing in there
Yep.
feels like it's going to be broken. But it feels like it would make an army more focused on those kinds of elements, at least competitive. Thank you, Kolek Suneater. That is his name. Yes.
Yep.
Thank you. Mogwai Man was the first one to get there, but a lot of people got it. I do like Dustin's answer, John Shagoth. Yes, that was his name. I think it was John. Yes. So, yeah, there you go. It just feels like such a slam dunk. All right. So there you go. That's some thoughts. Those are our factions. Do you have any closing ones? Any sort of like lightning round? We don't have them fully built out, but just kind of conceptual stuff you'd love to see expanded. Just as here's a thought. I'd love to have this expanded. I'd love to have that expanded. I have a thought. Like there's a couple that I thought of that I'd love to do. The problem is I don't know what they would do. So because I bounced around a lot of ideas. Most of these are rejected ideas from things I didn't pick as we were prepping for this show. Okay.
Yeah.
Like I would love to see a Clan Eshin expansion and re-release. That's already an existing faction, but it feels just like so ready to be built out. The problem was, as I actually thought about that, I couldn't really conceive of many new kits I would want to put in there.
Right.
Because there's so many
unit types, you mean?
Yeah. Like we have we have the footpad rats, we have the better assassins, we have the master assassin, and we have the demon assassin, right?
Yeah.
And I was trying to think of like other stuff I would want to fill that line out with. And I honestly wasn't coming up with much. Because if it's going to stay, it's a pretty narrow band in my mind, and I'm sure this is just me. So this is the kind of thing, like if you're listening to this right now and this appeals to you, you love the idea of ninja rats. I'd love to hear your suggestions for what you think like other models could be, because I legitimately couldn't think of you don't want anything mounted because ninjas aren't going to be riding mounts, and so I was really just
and you don't want I was thinking about like the alchemical like smoke bomb stuff. But you move into like scryer space.
Well, I'm okay with that because they used to have smoke bombs. That was a thing that they actually carried for a long time, and it's sort of still there in the magic items. But my point was like an actual new unit type. What does a new unit type look like, right? I mean, I guess I could think of a couple new variations on heroes. Like we got the guy out of Silver Tower, so the dude who can like shadow clone himself.
Yep.
Okay, you could see variations on new types of assassins, i.e. the 40k assassins, right? And that's fine. It's always easy to just pump out additional heroes. But I mean actual units.
Right.
Like, what is the new unit that's necessitating this army?
Yeah, there's just not a lot. Like, Molder, man, I could just go buck wild.
Sure.
But, for Eshin, I don't know.
Yeah, and I see some people in the comments who mentioned like the Eshin Sorcerer. Sure, like what used to be around in Wartime. And again, more heroes I can totally see, right? Like that's low hanging fruit. You could do a bunch of different types of assassin heroes.
Yeah.
Again, just look at the 40k assassins and make a copy of each of them or something, right?
Yeah.
And there you go. In addition to whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, like I think about like other armies that might be interesting. Like I think a build out of Dreadwood would be really interesting.
Okay.
To have some more like sinister trees.
Mm-hmm. More evil woods.
Like Hangman's trees and
bad trees that want to throw apples at you.
Yeah, like weeping willows. Like I don't know. I think that something like that might be interesting. Because obviously Sylvaneth has been on my head. Looking at my armies.
I'm watching everybody's suggestions over here, by the way.
Yeah.
And there's some that I think have that are onto some good stuff. So Sam Newman said, you could go the full angle and go for samurai rats as well. I thought about that, but that's kind of been, like OBR has borrowed some of that aesthetic. The one that I liked is somebody mentioned going cross clan. So one of the ways Molder and Scryer expanded was by combining together. right?
Yeah.
So go Eshin and Scryer combined and give them gliders and technology. Now, if we start getting into cyborg ninjas, that was
Yeah.
the missing piece right there. That's
Yeah.
where it is. As soon as you get into Rifts Japan, now we're cooking with butter.
Yep.
So, yes, like now that you get into, if you're going to get into technologically empowered ninjas, now I'm on board.
If you're going that route, like Skyer for me, doing like the full on airship tech.
Sure, you could. The Scryer expansion writes itself. That's low hanging fruit. But
Yes.
But sexy time is cyborg rat ninjas.
I mean, I don't disagree.
Is amazing.
And like power armor rats.
Sure. Like they just but like with ninja tech.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Like night optics and like
juiced up
explosive
juicer rat ninjas. Sure.
Explosive like shurikens.
Yes. 1,000 times yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now we're going. Now we've got
now
a concept.
We're cooking with butter.
So whoever had that idea back in the comments, I'm sorry it scrolled away, but whoever had that concept, you winner chicken dinner. That's my absolute pick.
I've joked around about it, but I think that there's gas in the fire eater ogre.
Sure.
And do an Akshi, flavored one. Like you don't have to do the Polynesian ogres. You could
just expanding the flame belly, the fire belly concept.
The fire belly concept, right? Mm-hmm. Of like eating things charred. And so you play with the fire theme, and like Everwinter has its own thing. So you go with this Akshi, like the eternal barbecue or something. I don't know.
No, I think there is. I think the fire belly is a cool singular model that I wish they would actually take and expand in some way. I agree. Yep.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
All right.
Yeah. So those are the easy ones. Obviously, we've talked about cities 100 times.
Yeah, sure. Just do more cities. I mean, that's the. I didn't mention that because I knew we've talked about it before, and it's such low hanging fruit that I think we will honestly see. Just do more cities. You can publish Cities Book 2 and Cities Book 3, and over the next 3 years, and that's slam dunkathon. That shouldn't even be a thing. Yep. Those should already be on a whiteboard on a project plan somewhere.
Right, and you just integrate new armies into that because you'll do like Haish and Olgu.
You'll have Shimon, you'll have Gur, you'll have Haish. Yeah, I mean, sure, absolutely.
Yep.
There you go. Okay, cool. Well, I think we solved this. If you've got some concepts you'd like that you think are solid for expansions like this, drop them down in the comments. Would love to see them. Don't forget, everybody, please hit the like button. There's a lot of you watching right now. Thank you so much for watching. Hit like. I do appreciate it. It really helps. We appreciate it. It helps other people find the show. This has been growing over the past couple months, and I really think that's because everybody's been hitting like and sharing it, and I'm so thankful to everybody for that. This has been really fun. I look forward to Wednesday every week, especially because it's a wonderful distraction from everything else that's going on in the world, to sit down and talk about AOS for a couple hours with Tom and to sit with all of you. So thank you all very much for watching, everybody. If you've got thoughts, like I said, drop them down there. Hit that like button. But as always, we'll see you next Wednesday.